Well, hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in to another edition of Adam's Music Box, where today we're mourning the loss of one of the great figures of rhythm and blues and soul music. And this is Abdul Duke Fakir, the lost surviving original member of the Four Tops. Now, the Four Tops were simply one of the very best vocal groups of all time, both within Motown Records and on other record labels. They were a hit machine. They were one of those bands, one of those groups, I should say, rather, that you don't see a lot of today, and that they can sing without a net, with rehearsal, without rehearsal, in the studio, on a TV show, on a live radio program, at a small gig, at a live gig, polished, perfect, on key. Great dance moves, great audience interaction, genuine entertainment. When you went to a Four Tops show, or when you were booking the Four Tops for a show like the Midnight Special that they were on, or other big shows of the day, you not only got what you paid for, but you got to see a true level of vocal and performance artistry that almost went out of fashion, frankly, too early. That level of commitment to your craft. And Abdul Duke Fakir was truly one of the best of a very, very talented band. And whilst his colleagues sadly passed away earlier, he sort of kept the original flag flying long after that. The hits that they had were immense. One of my favorites, 1972's Ain't No Woman Like the One I've Got, but the 60s is probably the decade that they're most associated with. Reach Out, I'll Be There. What a song. What an arrangement. What a vocal performance. I'll be there to love and comfort you. I can't do it. You've got to listen to it. I'm sure you know it. I Can't Help Myself, better known as Sugar Pie, Honey Bunch, huge international hit. Baby, I Need Your Loving, another. What chords? What just a perfect song. And they even had a hit in the 80s, something that was produced by Phil Collins with Loco and Acapulco, and they hadn't lost a step. I mean, the 1976 album Catfish, some would say past their prime, but they never were past their prime. They kept going long after their debut, and they were even around in the 50s, long before their first album in the early 60s. At the top, another album that I love, 1978. And they even did in the late 60s, in 1969, on the Four Tops Now album, they did one of the best cover versions of one of my favorite songs by one of my favorite songwriters. And this is, of course, Jimmy Webb's MacArthur Park. Many other great covers on that album. The Fool on the Hill, the Beatles song Little Green Apples that Sinatra did so well was on there too, and they did a marvelous version. And it does bring an end to an era. Other members of the group joined subsequent to the other original members passing on, but it's without a doubt the end of a very important era. The last of the Four Tops is gone. But the music will, I think, live on forever because look at all of the various artistic trends or fads, if you will, that the Four Tops musically survived. They came to prominence in an era where doo-wop was the latest, greatest thing, where rock and roll was very new. And they survived the advent of the Beatles and the Stones and the Who, of psychedelia, of funk, of sort of modern psychedelic soul, of electro funk, of 80s synth pop, of 90s rock music. They survived all of that. And the music not only continued to be played on both AM and FM radio, it was used in film, it was used in television, used in commercials. It was the kind of music that I really think is kind of impossible not to fall in love with and not to keep with you your entire life. It was music that when it came out, it defined an era, particularly in the 60s. But there was something about it that was just so self assured and so beautifully constructed that it never really went out of style. And I don't actually think it ever will. When the annals of Motown are written in the history of music, the Four Tops are going to be up there as one of the, if not the best group signed to that legendary label. So today's as good as any day to get back in touch with the Four Tops. They're luckily all of their main albums and singles are on Spotify and the other services. So why not tip your hat to the lost of the Four Tops as we remember the great life and legacy of Abdul Duke Fakir, a wonderful, wonderful vocalist. May he rest in peace. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Take care.